It's hard to imagine becoming a billionaire as a teenager, but that was the reality for a Norwegian heiress who inherited a fortune that's currently estimated at $1.4 billion, before her 20th birthday. Before Kylie Jenner, there were these sisters who were the world's youngest billionaires, yet they still drive second-hand cars. One of them cemented her title as one of the youngest billionaires in the world at just 19 years of age, and her financial success has only gotten better and better since then. Alexandra Andresen, who is now 23, first appeared on Forbes' Billionaires list in 2016 when she was just 19. Forbes declared her the youngest billionaire in the world at the time, though reality TV star Kylie Jenner and her growing cosmetics empire have since taken that title. But while Jenner famously flaunts her collection of luxury vehicles including 2 Range Rovers and a Rolls-Royce, Alexandra and her sister, Katharina, 24, who also inherited her own billion-dollar fortune in her teens, reportedly have more modest guidelines when it comes to choosing a car. Alexandra Andresen and her sister Katharina each inherited 42% of the family-owned investment company, Ferd. Andresen's father Johan still runs the company and controls 70% of the votes via a dual-class share structure. Ferd runs hedge funds, is an active investor on the Nordic Stock Exchange, and has numerous private equity investments.
Let's get down to business.
My name is Johan H. Andresen. I am the owner and chair of Ferd, a Norwegian investment company. I've been involved with JA for more than 20 years now. So I've met hundreds, even thousands of people who've gone through the program, and I stay in touch with many of the alumni as well.
Ferd is a Norwegian holding company that has partial ownership of a few companies within industry and finance. It also has a real estate portfolio and a number of venture capital and private equity holdings. It was established in 2001, but its history dates all the way back to 1849, when a tobacco factory by the name of J.L. Tiedemann's Tobaksfabrik was acquired by the Andresen family. The current Ferd is owned by Johan H. Andresen Jr. and, as of late, Katharina and Alexandra are part owners of the company. The company has several key business areas, namely Ferd Capital, Ferd Invest, Ferd External Managers, and Ferd Real Estate. The company has clearly dabbled in quite a few fields, and the girl's father transferred ownership stakes of 42.2% to both Alexandra and Katharina. However, in spite of being quite literally some of the richest people in Norway, both Alexandra and Katharina are pretty down to earth. Alexandra Andresen was born on the 23rd of July, 1996 in Norway to Johan H. Andresen Jr. and Kristin Gamlemshaw. You might recognize the name of Alexandra's father. That's because Johan H. Andresen Jr. has been the owner of Ferd, one of the largest privately held companies in Norway, and he is most known for being an industrialist and investor. He was ranked 5th in Capital's list of richest Norwegians, given that his net worth stands at a whopping $3.27 billion. This makes Alexandra and her sister, Katharina, heiresses to one of the largest companies in their hometown. Sometimes, people are just born into a life of wealth and luxury. Alexandra and Katharina are such examples of that. However, that doesn't mean that they haven't been carving out their own paths and making their own names for themselves. It is quite difficult to imagine having billions of dollars as a teenager, but that's exactly what happened to Alexandra. She inherited most of her fortune before she turned 20. While we're used to seeing the lifestyles of the rich and famous on TV where popular celebrities and personalities would flaunt their million-dollar homes and luxury cars. However, Alexandra and Katharina are not like that. In fact, they're quite the opposite. The sisters recall that their parents had taught them to not live too extravagantly and to choose vehicles that are not too luxurious. Katharina says that their father told him that they could buy a nice car, but it must be a second-hand car. Alexandra herself prefers to save her money than spend it. In an interview back in 2014, she said, "I save when I get my weekly allowance, and I save the cash prizes I win in competitions or if I get money as a gift for my birthday. It means I can buy myself things I really want, like a bag or a pair of shoes, without having to ask mum or dad for money." Quite impressive, if I must say. And while the sisters have maintained that their parents taught them not to flaunt their wealth too much, they still manage to enjoy their billionaire status, as evidenced by their social media profiles that show the two sisters enjoying Mediterranean vacations or flaunting luxury clothing like a Louis Vuitton purse and engaging in activities like horseback riding, skydiving, and yachting. On top of being an heiress to a multi-billion-dollar company, Alexandra Andresen is also an accomplished equestrian. She is a three-time junior Norwegian champion in dressage riding and has received various other accolades and awards. She has also modeled for the equestrian clothing company, Kingsland. Growing up, their house and land was always filled with animals. On Instagram, Alexandra said, "We're used to bringing our ponies, Pinocchio and Spike, to an island where we had a summer house. They would walk free on our property. They have also had several dogs, including Bella. So it was natural that they found an affinity for horses and other animals from an early age." Meanwhile, her father sold the family's stake in the tobacco business to Skandinavisk Tobakskompani for nearly $500 million in 2005. 2 years later, Johan transferred a 42% stake of the company each to Alexandra and Katharina. Alexandra was 10. So why did Alexandra and Katharina's father decide to pass on his wealth to them and give them shares of the company at such an early age? This is due to Norway still having a net wealth tax. By law, the rich are required to pay roughly 1% of their net worth each year. However, this tax is imposed on each individual, and this begins the year that the individual turns 17 years of age. By distributing assets, in the Andresens' case, shares of the company amongst family members, they can reduce the overall net wealth tax deducted from them. Recently, the tax rates have become lower, but this is still a common practice. Additionally, familial dynamics come into play. In the same article by Jedjur Palmgren, Øyvind Boren, professor of finance at the Norwegian Business School in Oslo, claimed, "Fancy hearing about another young upstater. Little else warms the heart better than a good, old, success story." In the business world, we've learned that achieving success can certainly take a lot of time, and sometimes, it could even take years for someone to get to the top and earn loads of money. That's why a huge majority of the millionaires and billionaires we know of today are in their 30s or above. However, this young entrepreneur made his first million while he was just a teenager and has a higher net worth in millions than his current age. Akshay Ruparelia's story is a combination of grit, innovation, and creativity, all of which contributed to helping bring his vision to life.
I think the first time it popped into my head, unrealistically, it was when I was about 10 years old. So we moved house as a family from Hemel Hempstead into London. And a few years later, I realised estate agents charged a lot of money for that move. That's when we first sold our first property as a family. Once I worked out that it was around 2% and cost us £4,000 to move, I thought, this is not right. And living in an age with disruption, technology, Uber, Amazon, I thought doorsteps.co.uk should be at the top of that.
You may not have heard of him yet, but you will certainly respect him after watching the video. Click away and see you in there.